and or are virgins. So, do you think it is easier for a man or a woman to lose their virginity?
Definitely easier for a woman to lose virginity.
Yeah,
Yeah?
by far.
Expand.
I mean, a guy has to, like, a girl can literally just raise her hand and, you know, say who wants to do it with me, and a bunch of guys will flock her way.
She kind of just has to show up, right? Guys actually have to put in a lot of work to get laid in general, but to go from like kissless virgin to losing your virginity and having a girl like you is a bit of a process. Right?
Do you think it's easier for women, would you say, Abby?
Yeah, but I think also it depends on your attractive level.
So do you think that women losing their virginity depends on their attractiveness? You get an ugly guy and an ugly woman. Who's more likely to lose their virginity?
It's hard. It's because obviously how attractive you are is subjective, but I feel like typically attractive women are obviously going to lose it really easily. But women who aren't your typical... So like, I don't know, if you're maybe overweight or not your, like what your typical idea of good looking is, then obviously it's going to be harder, which might be on the same level as, I don't know, I can't explain it.
Okay. You think men will find it harder to lose their virginity?
Well, I think men would find it hard to lose.
Or women, yeah.
I think like I'm a 35-year-old male and I haven't thought about losing my virginity since I was in my teenage years.
Was it hard for you?
No, like...
Really?
No, not at all. Like, it was just a natural process of becoming an adult. Yeah, like the whole concept to me is quite foreign, that this is...
Was talking to women always easy for you? Because some guys say they like really struggle with it.
No, not really. No, it's like
it was always easy for you
to talk to women.
Yeah, some guys it's like not natural to them,
which is understandable.
Yeah. I mean, I think it can be intimidating.
It can be, but like, no, it wasn't for me. I grew up in quite a family with quite a lot of female, with a lot of female influence, and yeah, I've never ever struggled to talk to women. So.
What do you think?
I would say it would be easier for women to lose their virginity, just because women are probably more selective about who they sleep with, and men are less because they just kind of want to get laid.
But then, if you're more selective, wouldn't it be harder?
Generalized. Well, if you're more selective.
Yeah, if you're more selective, wouldn't it be harder?
Well, no, because you can afford to be selective when you have more options, I guess. If that makes sense, because more women are more selective, so men, generalized.
So you think women have more options than men?
I think men are more willing to overlook certain things in order to have sex, whereas women won't always do that. So women would be more selective in a lot of senses. They have, I guess, more, I don't want to say standards. It's not about standards, but just kind of what they would want to look for. Boundaries. Yeah, that's a good word for it. 100%.
So women have more boundaries, you said?
Yeah, I would say that there.
Speaking to them.
Sorry, I would say that there is a need for women and people generally, but women to have boundaries, in order to not fall prey and trap to labels and titles that come with being promiscuous. I think that there's a medal behind virginity that men kind of want to hold. It's like, oh, I've lost my virginity. I want to tell everyone about it. I don't feel like there's that much of a medal behind it for girls. It's not like, oh, let me put a pin in this because I won. I think it's less of a, there's not so much incentive for women to lose their virginity, whereas men, I feel like there's more of a, come on, you should do this, come on, you should do this, come on, you should do this. And there's a lot of toxicity behind that, as well as like ego that surrounds the label virginity as well.
So you think that there's more pressure on women or men to lose your virginity?
On men.
I would say on men.
You think it's on men?
Yes.
So when you were like at school, when you were younger, like, because I mean, I remember me being at school, and there was like, you're still a virgin. Oh my God, you're still a virgin. Oh my God, what you still doing a virgin? And I think a lot of the time, guys got to the point where they would just lie about having lost their virginity. Like, so you didn't have the same thing as a woman?
No, and I wouldn't say that. I think it's really sad that anyone feels like they have to lie about something in order to be accepted within like peers and friend groups. And I don't feel like there was that sort of title that comes with losing your virginity in a female. I went to an all girls school, and I don't feel there was any of that where I was at school.
So even at an all girls school, there was no pressure.
No, I didn't.
Did the girls not come in and say, "Look, I lost my virginity"? Yeah. Did they not do that?
Yeah, we did that.
Right. Okay.
But there was certainly no pressure to do that. There was no like, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? It was a moment of pride as and when it happened. But I don't think it was something that, I don't think it was a necessity.
Right.
Like, I feel like, because I went to Catholic school, and I just feel like people didn't really care either way as a girl. Like, if you did, cool. If you didn't, cool. Like, yeah.
Were you looked down upon in your school if you did lose it?
No, but it was like hot gossip.
Right. Okay.
Like, I went to a small Catholic school. And so, like, if you heard that someone, because not a lot of people really were. I know the stereotypes with Catholic schools, but mine was more, like, innocent. I don't know.
What's the stereotype? I don't know. Tell us, Mel. What stereotypes?
You've never heard that? Like, they always say, like, Catholic schools are crazy. And I'm sure they are, like, some of them. But mine was, like, not like that. I don't know.
I mean, in my experience, church girls have probably been the freakiest girls I've ever had sex with. I won't lie.
I know. It's like I would just say it was kind of similar to like a small town where like if something happens, like everyone's talking about it.
So you see, like with virginity, do you guys think that when like talking about like your experience, Pearl, do you think like there's the pressure to lose your virginity creates a curiosity that just makes you want to do it? Is that what happened at your school?
No. I mean,
No.
I would say maybe more for men, but not as much for women, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think like virginity nowadays is looked upon with ridicule if you're a virgin?
Definitely.
Guys,
Yeah.
For a guy or girl?
anyone.
No.
Or both, either or.
I mean, I would say
Speak on it.
for a guy, yeah, it's kind of a little weird. You call them incels. But I would say for a girl, if she's 21 and she actually is a virgin, I think a lot of guys would probably not believe her, but if they know that to be a fact, they'd probably find that like really attractive.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think a virgin girl is attractive?
I mean, I think if a girl's attractive, she's attractive.
I'm saying, do you think it's attractive to a man?
I would say so.
You were going to say something. You were like, nah.
No, I'm not saying what he said wasn't right about a guy finding that attractive if she was 21 and a virgin, but I think all my friends lost their virginity like at like 14 or something, 15, and then I remember I lost my virginity like a couple of days before my 18th, and I definitely felt like no one directly pressured me, or my friends weren't like, oh, go and do it, but it was kind of like you did feel like a ticking time bomb, because it did feel a little bit like when everyone's doing one thing, if you're doing something different, you feel a bit weird. So it's like when I was coming up to my 18th, it did feel like I was getting to the weird stage.
Oh, really? You felt?
Yeah, I
you
felt
feel
like
awkward, like you have to get it done.
Yeah. But I can't put my finger on where that come from. I guess it's just the norm.
Because the average age of people losing their virginity is actually around 17.
Oh, okay. See,
Like
compared to like everyone I know, that's really late.
Do you wonder if those numbers are based on like an older generation? Because I just hear stories from my younger sisters about like their friends.
Tell us the stories, Pearl.
No, I'm not talking about anything with minors.
Sorry.
No,
sorry, don't
like,
do that.
No. But there's just wild stories when they're doing stuff where like at a much younger age, it seems like, than the older generation.
So you think there's more pressure on like the younger generation to lose it?
And I don't even know if it's pressure. I just think they're wilder. Like, I just think they're exposed to more younger. And I think that like my mom's generation would say that about my generation.
Right.
Like it seems like every generation is just getting wilder and wilder and wilder. So a lot of times, like when I see the stats, it's always based on like 5 to 10 years ago. And I'm like, it's a whole different group of kids.
So I remember when I was going to lose my virginity, I'm not even going to lie, as a guy, like I prepared. Because like you, as a guy, you kind of prepare. Like you know what's going to happen. I knew the day. I had my girlfriend. She had already had sex. I hadn't. But I'd never told her that, obviously, because I was experienced. And like you just prepare for it. Like was that the same? Was it like was it something that you kind of fell into or was it something that you prepare for?
For me personally, I fell into it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a preparation. It was
Talking
just,
to the mic.
sorry. Yeah, no, it wasn't, I didn't prepare for it as you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it just happened organically.
You guys, did you prepare?
I definitely prepared for like a month, like mentally and like spiritually, absolutely prepared. And like in my case, it was very similar to what you're saying. Is I didn't want to be the only one in my friend group who was a virgin, so I just found the first girl who had a crush on me, and like just begged her to let me hook up with her, and she was super into me. So she's like, "Yeah, totally," and I prepared for it, right? Because talking to women was never easy, right?
Right.
And so yeah, it definitely was something I had to prepare for.
How do you prepare for this? If you don't
You
mind?
light candles?
Like,
What
is
happens?
it? Do you get some condoms and
Watch
you know,
YouTube
like-
tutorials, buy condoms.
Is that?
Like look for advice on, and this is like over a decade ago, right? So this is like, yeah, it was a long time ago, and I was just trying to mentally prepare for the most part, and
Did it help?
definitely, I had no idea what I was doing. I just like stuck it in, just waited for something to happen. I was just confused. I was just very, very confused.
Has it got better?
Definitely.
Did you have to prepare over there? Did you have to prepare?
I'm not married, so I couldn't tell you guys.
Oh, you're a virgin still. He's a virgin. We got a virgin on the show.
No, I don't know if I like prepared, but it kind of just happened. But I already kind of was wanting it to happen. Actually, the very first time I had the option to do it, I couldn't make it happen. I was like too nervous, and the girl was older than me. She wanted to, and I just couldn't.
Right.
Not being descriptive here, but yeah, I just couldn't get hard. I was like too nervous. I was really young.
Yeah.
Like really young.
How young?
Really young. I think I was like a freshman in high school.
I don't know how old that is over here. 14?
No, I was like 12 or 13.
What the hell?
Yeah, girls had crushes on me when I was young. And then, but yeah, it wasn't until later. It was probably like a year and a half, 2 years later after that.
Wow.
So 15.
I grew
Like,
up in a different one.
12 and 13, I was just like thinking about like computer games and shit.
don't
Like,
I was trying to get laid at that age.
really?
See,
Go on, bro.
See, we go to Catholic school, and I feel like the girls would feel guilty, like after if they lost their virginity. To be honest, like just in my friend group, I guess.
So
Because
that's what. Go on.
I definitely did because I was older. I was definitely the last one in my friend group, but like I felt so guilty because I felt like God was like mad.
He's still mad, bro.
I know.
He's still mad. So that pressure at 12, so I just want to kind of flesh that out. Like, where do you think that came from? Like, where did it? Because to me, a 12-year-old would be thinking about different things other than sex.
I was probably like 13. She was a junior, so she was probably like 15 or 16. She was just like an older girl to me. Like a year or two makes a difference in high school,
Right.
you know? And then she's already done it. She was experienced. I wasn't.
So she was like 14.
She was probably like 15 or 16, I'd imagine.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. You've just never done it. You're nervous. You hear about it. You see all these adult films when you're a kid. You're like,
Yeah.
Back then, actually, we didn't have the internet. Like, you know, I'm 34. I forgot to mention earlier. But I remember like when we were in elementary school, someone found this adult magazine
Right.
from their dad and
Right.
they ripped out a page. So we used to have to walk home from the bus stop and there was like this desert where we'd hide this one picture, just a still picture of a girl with her boobs. And like we were all like young kids staring at this thing and we'd hide it back under this rock, throw dirt on it. And like we'd stop by there like every day to look at it.
So do you think like your introduction to like losing the virginity was
Probably not healthy.
something like that? Like, because I think a lot of guys, like even me, like I was introduced to like a Korn videotape when I was like 13, and it blew my mind.
This is so young to me. I'm like, this is like sad.
No, literally, like I had a friend, and he was at his house, and he knew he was older than me. He was like 15. I was like 13, and he knew that his mother had like a corn video. That's VHS times. Like she had like a VHS, and he was like, guys, there was like 3 of us, and I was like, guys, I'm going to show you something, and he put the tape on, and at 13, that literally blew my mind.
Yeah, one of the greatest days of my teenage life was finding my dad's corn stash. Like everything changed.
So I have a question for the guys. Would you want to marry a virgin?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not the end all thing, but if it's if I found the girl and I was gonna like her regardless, I mean, then yeah, that's just I would say it's a plus.
Would you guys be willing to like wait then till you're married to sleep with her?
Ooh.
Because like
Yeah.
that's usually what comes with a virgin.
Yep.
Like if she's usually waiting. So like typically, like my friends that were virgins when they got married, like the dude dated them for a year and a half, then they got married. So he didn't do anything with anyone else for a year and a half.
That's an interesting question because, like, personally, I just don't think marriage is advantageous. I'm from Canada, right? And so the family court system there is just not in the benefit of men. So I just don't believe in marriage. But I think my ideal partner that I want to like kind of like emotionally, spiritually settle down with, you know, ideally would have a lower body count.
What if maybe marriage? It doesn't have to be like marriage in the church.
Sure.
Because like those girls typically want to get married in the church.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
would you be willing to wait like a year and a half to be with that girl?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you being honest though?
See,
So you're not gonna have
Don't
sex.
say the stuff for the internet, bro.
if it was like an open relationship dynamic and I can hook up with other girls in the meantime, then totally.
No, that's not how it
No,
works.
that's not how it works, bro.
Girls. That's not.
You have
That's
to be
just
like a
realistically
year
how it's
no
gonna
sex.
go, though.
No,
That's impossible.
The only yeah. Like, okay, the only reason I ask is because a lot of guys like say they want virgins, but I don't think they want what would come with it. And I know a lot of
Right.
girls that are virgins and did wait till they were married because I went to Catholic school and just like different churches I've been involved in. I'm like, I don't think a lot of the guys that say they want virgins would do the stuff they'd be like they would want.
I mean, talk about your ex-girlfriend
Yeah.
if you can.
Yeah, talk about your ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, my ex-girlfriend was a virgin when I met her.
Okay.
So it's not like
And is she still a virgin?
no, I took that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm kind of on board with what Justin was saying about the whole marriage system. Like, I'd want to do it in the church for her, and have the big party, and give her the memories and whatnot. But in terms of like actually signing a legal binding contract to a government, that doesn't really interest me too much.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it's advantageous for men. Like, if I was a guy, I probably wouldn't want to get married.
But it's interesting that what you say about guys wanting a virgin, but not being willing to wait for the virginity. Like, that's like...
Yeah, a year and a half sounds like a long time.
It does.
That means we'd have to bump that marriage up.
But do you think that's because you've experienced sex already?
Probably. Yeah, so now you know what it is.
You know what you're going to be missing, right? Yeah. And I think that's a lot of what... Because remember last show we had Linda on, and she was a virgin. And I was speaking to her after the show, and it's just interesting the way guys are. Like, if we speak at statistics, right? And marriages often work out if the two people that get together in a marriage are virgins.
Yeah, it's like the highest success rate is when they're both virgins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if one has already experienced sex and the other one hasn't, the marriage is less likely to work out.
Yeah, I believe that. That makes sense.
Why are you laughing?
Sorry, because that makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Oh, really? Why?
Tell me why.
Because why would you even I wouldn't even consider someone how many if someone's a virgin or not. If I don't bump into any of you and say, hey, are you a virgin?
No, but when you're getting to know somebody, you would ask a question, no?
Why?
You don't want to know if the woman that you're with is a virgin or she's had sex with 100,000 men? Like,
So you would marry a girl that had sex with 100 guys?
Why is a number that's a completely abstract concept to me.
Do you want to talk about pair bonding, bro?
No, it was because I only discovered who you were yesterday, and even the idea of pair bonding is intriguing to me because it's a completely foreign concept.
Okay,
I've
go on.
never even considered in my entire life.
Yeah, it's just basically like the more partners that a girl has, the more people she compares him to, typically, and it makes her less satisfied with the guy she's with. So, for example, if a girl is a virgin when she's married, she has an 80% chance of having a happy marriage after 10 years. Where if she slept with more than 5 people, it drops to a 30% chance.
How are you ascribing these statistics to that? How do you possibly prescribe an 80% statistical chance?
So they survey the people later. So like, how many people had you slept with when you got married, and then later they come back and ask if they're happy.
So are they reducing that to just sex and saying that the reason the women are comparing them to the past men is specifically because of sex?
Well, okay, they don't say in the study that it's because they compare. So I should say that's just like based on like my talking to people. It's just based on how many partners they've had. So it drops down to 25%.
It's just very Homer Simpson telling Kent Brockman that like 40% of all people can make up statistics. Like,
so you don't see the sense in it. So if you think that somebody has experienced 100 men, for instance, if a woman's experienced 100 men, and then you're 101, you don't think that those 100 men would she won't think about one of those 100 men and not you.
Of course she would. But
right, exactly. So that's
it's a complete. It's a fallacy. It doesn't it's not a comparable statistic.
Well, of course it is, because do you know what an alpha widow is?
A what? Sorry?
Alpha widow.
An alpha widow.
Yeah. So a lot of women. Go on, Pearl. You'll explain it better than I would.
Well, it's basically like women like to be with the guy that's the best that they can get. And like they want to feel like they're with the best that they can get. And the problem is, if a girl has a guy that's at a certain caliber and then she goes on to date somebody else and she sees him as settled. So a lot of times women sleep up and then the person that they marry isn't who they actually want. Mm-hmm. And so there's like accounts of like even there's Reddit threads of like girls talking about how they, married one guy and they miss their husband, or not, sorry, they miss their ex-boyfriend from college or whoever it was.
But why does sex or how many people they've slept with determine that? Wouldn't it be other factors like how they were treated in the relationship or how the relationship was?
You're right. It's not only sex, but if you've had 100 guys,
but not all of those are going to be substantial relationships. Not all of those are going to be comparable to say the person you're with. Right? If it's one specific person, it's no different for one person sleeping with one person and comparing that to that person, right?
Could you explain that more?
So say if they had only slept with, say, like 5 people before they met the person they married, right? Regardless of whether they slept with 100 or 5, there's still that one boyfriend that they'd compare to.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually correct with that. It's not necessarily only about the number. Like if the first person you slept with was Michael B. Jordan, I think it's going to be hard to live up to that if that's your first boyfriend. Yeah. So it's not necessarily about the number, but when you go up to 100. It's like the more chances of there being a guy that you can't live up to, I think, increases.
I think if women are actually honest, they all know that one guy in their head that they probably won't say. There's that one guy that they know who we're actually talking about. I don't know who he is, but you do.
I think it's depending on how you view your past relationships. For me, there's no one in my life I would really want to go back to because I understand why it didn't work out and it didn't work out for specific reasons, and I'm not, quite frankly, that person anymore. And I also think it's dependent on the circumstances of how women are sleeping with these different men, right? If they're not entering into emotional commitments or, why they're sleeping around, these sorts of things, and then they change the headspace that they're in, then I don't think body count has an impact on who their future partner might be based on just self-awareness.
So question, what value does more bodies bring to a guy?
Does it have to bring value?
Yeah, no, I'm saying.
But that's
I'm saying.
What I'm saying.
I'm saying when a girl, men are biologically predispositioned to be attracted to purity and youth.
What do you mean by that?
Like throughout all of history, like the most powerful men had concubines of virgins.
Right.
But so that's what I'm saying. You can't. I'm saying you can't. I'm saying
Such
you can't.
as Genghis Khan.
Yeah, but I would attribute that to the claiming of power. They want
Genghis
to
Khan?
claim
I know
power
exactly
over
what
submissive
you're
female. And
Wait,
typically that's
guys,
going
Hang on,
to
wait, one
it
sec.
needs
Sorry.
to be one at a time.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I would say that would be attributed to men wanting, or people in those positions wanting, claiming as much power as possible. And the most power you can have is over a submissive, pure female, right? It doesn't necessarily.
Right, but I'm saying like they're attracted to youth and purity, and they can't undo that.
But that's a power-based mindset, right? And that power is what we kind of crave through a survival mindset, right? When we're trying.
As many of you know, I was just banned on TikTok, and we are demonetized on a daily basis on this platform. If you want to help, please consider sending a super thanks below. Every donation helps, and it helps make what we do possible.